Welcome, dear listener, to another serene journey through the sands of time. Tonight, we embark on a gentle exploration of one of the ancient Egypt's most captivating figures, Queen Nefertiti, a woman whose beauty has transcended millennia and whose story remains wrapped in mystery, inviting us to softly unravel the secrets she left behind. As you settle in comfort, let your breathing deepen and your mind open to the distant past. Let us drift slowly into the tale of Nefertiti's sudden disappearance from history, a quiet enigma that still whispers in the winds of Egypt. Nefertiti, whose name means the beautiful one has come, was born into a world of splendor and divine authority. Around 1370, during Egypt's 18th dynasty, she became the great royal wife of Pharaoh Akhenaten, a ruler known for his radical transformations of Egypt's religion and culture. Imagine the palace of Amarna, bathed in the warm light of the sun disk Aten, where Nefertiti stood not only as a queen but as a partner in revolution. This was no ordinary queen. She was depicted in statues and reliefs with a regal grace and power that suggested she shared the throne's duties alongside her husband. Art from this era shows her adorned in elegant robes, crowned with an iconic tall blue headdress. Her slender neck and poised demi-honor, captured in the famous limestone bust discovered centuries later. But the beauty was only a glimpse of the woman who influenced Egypt's spiritual and political life in profound ways. The Amarna period was marked by a shift away from the traditional worship of many gods toward the worship of Aten, the sun disk, as the one true deity. This change touched every corner of Egyptian society, from religion to art and from politics to daily life. Nefertiti played a central role in this transformation. Reliefs depict her participating in rituals, offering to Aten, and sometimes wearing the double crown of Upper and Lower Egypt, a symbol traditionally reserved for pharaohs alone. This suggests she wielded significant influence, possibly even ruling alongside Akhenaten as a co-regent. Together, they bore 6 daughters, and family scenes from this period show the royal couple tenderly caring for their children, a rare intimacy in Egyptian art that humanizes these distant figures. But after a dozen years of prominence, a curious silence falls over Nefertiti's trail. Her name and image abruptly vanish from monuments, official records, and inscriptions. No tomb was ever definitely identified as hers, no clear record of her death or burial. This disappearance has puzzled historians, archaeologists, and Egyptologists for centuries. What could have caused this sudden erasure? Did she die unexpectedly, perhaps from illness or political upheaval? Or did she assume a new identity, continuing her reign in secret? The answers are lost in the sands of time, but theories are many, each one a thread in the rich tapestry of Egypt's past, inviting us to imagine and wonder. One popular theory suggests that Nefertiti didn't simply vanish but transformed her role. After Akhenaten's death, A pharaoh named Neferneferuaten appears briefly in the records, a ruler whose identity remains debated. Many scholars propose that this ruler was in fact Nefertiti herself, ruling as a female pharaoh in her own rights. If so, she would be one of the few women in ancient Egypt to wear the full regalia and carry the titles of a king. Imagine her, cloaked in royal robes and the crown of kingship, navigating the treacherous waters of succession and restoring balance in a kingdom shaken by religious revolution. Other possibilities whisper a quieter fate. Perhaps Nefertiti died young, struck down by illness or intrigue. In a time of political and religious upheaval, it wasn't uncommon for rivals to erase predecessors from history to solidify their own power. Some think she may have been buried in a hidden or as yet undiscovered tomb near Amarna, or even within the tomb of the boy king Tutankhamun, whose reign closely followed hers. Fragments of artifacts and inscriptions hint at her presence, but the final resting place remains elusive. Modern archaeologists have scoured Egypt for clues, uncovering fragments of statues, inscriptions, and burial chambers. Each discovery adds a small piece to the puzzle, but also deepens the mystery. Excavations in the deserts near Amarna have revealed promising leads, but no definitive tomb has been found. Some suspect her burial was intentionally hidden or dismantled during the return to Egypt's old religious ways. The desert sands continue to guard her secrets, patiently waiting for the day when the last piece of the puzzle will emerge. Though the details of her fate may remain unknown, Nefertiti's legacy shines brightly. She embodies a moment of transformation in Egypt, a time when art blossomed, religion evolved, and women's power in the royal court was unmistakably profound. Her image, immortalized in the exquisite bust housed in Berlin's Neues Museum, continues to captivate and inspire, reminding us of the beauty and complexity of the ancient world. And so, dear listener, as you breathe gently and your body sinks deeper into rest, carry with you the quiet mystery of Queen Nefertiti's disappearance, a whisper from a time long past, full of light, change, and unanswered questions. In our next chapter, we will explore another fascinating phase of this queen's life, the possibility that she ruled Egypt alone as Pharaoh Neferneferuaten. Sleep well and let the ancient sands cradle your dreams. As you remain nestled in stillness, your breath soft, your eyes growing heavier with every word, we continue our peaceful journey into the ancient world of Queen Nefertiti. In our last chapter, we explored her mysterious disappearance, a vanishing that left the world wondering, where did she go? But now, let's open the door to a theory that flows through the shadows of time. Could Nefertiti have become Pharaoh herself, ruling Egypt under a new name. After the death of Akhenaten, the once radiant capital of Amarna dimmed. The sun god Aten no longer shone so brightly in the hearts of Egypt's people, and the land faced uncertainty, a kingdom at a crossroads needing leadership. But instead of a strong male successor stepping forward, something unusual happened. A name appeared on the throne, a name both new and strangely familiar: Neferneferuaten, a ruler whose reign is faintly recorded, whose gender was ambiguous, and whose identity has sparked one of history's quietest revolutions. This name, Neferneferuaten, was not entirely unknown. It had been part of Nefertiti's extended royal name, Neferneferuaten Nefertiti, a name meaning beautiful are the beauties of Aten. The beautiful one has come. Could this be more than coincidence? Was this enigmatic pharaoh none other than Nefertiti herself, ruling alone after her husband's death? Evidence, like tiny grains of sand, has trickled through time. On a tiny box found in the tomb of Tutankhamun, the name Neferneferuaten appears with royal titles, but paired with feminine language. She wasn't His Majesty, she was Her Majesty. If this theory is true, then Nefertiti would have been among the rare women in Egyptian history to rise to the title of pharaoh, not queen, but king. Picture her standing at the heart of the sunlight temple, clad in golden robes, holding the crook and flail of power in hands that once caressed her children's cheeks. Her headdress, now the crown of Upper and Lower Egypt, her voice, now the decree of a kingdom, and her rule, a quiet echo through time, cloaked in mystery. Nefertiti's elevation to pharaoh, if true, would not be without challenge. Egypt had worshipped male kings as gods for centuries. Could a woman rule the divine court of Ra? But Nefertiti had always walked beside the gods. As consort to Akhenaten, she had been his equal in worship, present at rituals, commanding, glowing in Aten's lights. Maybe this final step was only natural, a woman so woven in the threads of power. She could no longer be separated from it. But if she did rule, why do so few records remain? Why does Neferneferuaten feel like a whisper, barely audible in the winds of history? Some scholars believe her reign was intentionally erased, perhaps by those loyal to the old gods, and perhaps by successors who fear the legacy of a female king. And so the chisel met the stone, scratching away her name, her image, her power. But not everything was lost. Some monuments bear partial titles, others incomplete names, as if someone tried to remove her, but time refused to forget. In some pieces of Amarna art, we see a pharaoh with features resembling Nefertiti. High cheekbones, a long neck, elegant fingers holding the scepter of power. But these depictions are different from Akhenaten. They don't match Tutankhamun, and they appear feminine. Could these be secret portraits of Nefertiti, ruling as Neferneferuaten, not with painted lips and jewelry, but in the regalia of the sons chosen? If so, then she may have been one of the most powerful women to ever live, and yet one of the most quietly erased. Even now, Nefertiti's possible reign as pharaoh sparks debate among historians. Was she truly Neferneferuaten? Was she a bridge between Akhenaten and Tutankhamun? Or was she someone else entirely, lost in time's shifting sands? Whatever the truth, one thing is certain. The power of this woman, her wisdom, her grace, her audacity, continues to ripple through history. And so we close another chapter in this gentle journey through time. As your body softens deeper into stillness, let the image of Nefertiti, crowned as a hidden pharaoh, linger softly in your dreams. In our next passage, we will explore the world she and Akhenaten created, the Amarna Revolution, and how it reshaped the very soul of Egypt. Dear dreamer, you've already traveled far through the moonlit corridors of history, and now, nestled deeper in the comfort of the night, let us journey to a time when Egypt itself shifted its soul. This is the story of a revolution, but not one of a war or fire. No, this was a revolution of gods, of art, and of light. A change so gentle, and yet so complete. It left its mark on stone, on worship, on the very language of power, and at the heart of it all stood Nefertiti. Before the revolution, Egypt's heart beat in temples of old gods: Amun, Ra, Osiris, and Isis, names echoing in golden halls. Priests held immense power. Rituals passed and changed for centuries. Gods were many, mysterious, and deeply woven into daily life. Pharaohs ruled as divine intermediaries, but their strength often bent to the will of the priesthood. The temples of Thebes towered with offerings. The statues of Amun glistened with gold. Egypt's soul was shared between king and clergy, until Akhenaten and Nefertiti whispered something new into the wind. Aten, a radiant disk, a god of light, not shrouded in mystery, but present in the sky each day. Akhenaten declared Aten the one true God, the sun not as a symbol, but as the divine itself, the source of life, the eye of creation. And Nefertiti, she stood beside him, not as ornament, but as co-ruler, co-believer, co-revolutionary. This is the Amarna revolution, a shift from the hidden to the revealed, from the many to the one, from shadow to the light. They left Thebes behind. They turned their backs on old power. And together, Akhenaten and Nefertiti built a new capital, Akhtaten, the horizon of the sun. On the sands between cliffs and Nile, they raised a city from nothing. Temples bathed in light. Homes built in orderly peace. No towering idols of old gods. Only open courtyards where the sun could touch every stone. And who do we see on the temple walls? Not just the pharaoh, but Nefertiti, radiant and powerful, riding chariots, smiling as she worshipped Aten, wearing the same crown as her husband. This was no traditional queen. This was a woman reshaping the world. The art of Amarna was unlike anything Egypt has seen. Gone were rigid poses and idealized faces. In their place, intimacy, movement, and emotion. The royal family was shown together, lovingly. Nefertiti cradling children. Akhenaten kissing a daughter's forehead. Aten's rays descending little hands at their lips, blessing only the king, queen, and their children. This was a divine family, a holy household, a vision of power softened by tenderness, and Nefertiti was central to it. She wasn't just present, she was celebrated, she was adored. While Akhenaten was absorbed in worship, many believe Nefertiti managed state affairs. Foreign letters suggest tensions on the borders, rebellions in the outer lands, internal unrest among those loyal to old gods. And who responded? Some say it was Nefertiti, commanding emissaries, overseeing construction, maintaining balance as her husband gazed heavenward. Could she have been Egypt's quiet stabilizer? A leader in everything but name? Perhaps. The records are faint, but the legacy is luminous. But even the brightest light must dim. Akhenaten died, and the city of light faded. The priests of Amun returned. The old gods were restored, and Akhtaten was abandoned. Nefertiti's fate remains unknown. Some say she vanished, others say she became pharaoh. But what she helped build, a city of devotion and daylight, would echo forever. The Amarna period would be forgotten, buried under sands of resistance. But centuries later, its art, its architecture, and her image would rise again. Whispers in the stone, beauty remembered, and power revealed. And so ends this chapter in the tale of Queen Nefertiti. Not just a queen, but a revolutionary. A woman who walked in the sunlight and changed the very shape of the divine. As you breathe slowly now and drift further into the arms of sleep, know that the origin of the sun is never far. Nefertiti's city may have vanished, but its light glows quietly still. In our next chapter, we will discover the mystery of a sculpture, a face frozen in time, and how the bust of Nefertiti became one of the most iconic images in the world. Until then, listen carefully. Gentle listener, the stars are out, the world has hushed, and our minds turn once more to the sands of Egypt. We've wandered through temples of light and glimpsed a queen in her power, but now we uncover a moment frozen in time, a face carved in stillness that has stared back at the world for over 3,000 years. This is the story of the most famous sculpture in all of ancient Egypt, the bust of Nefertiti. Not just a piece of art, but a mystery, a controversy, a symbol of enduring beauty. Let us begin. It began on a winter morning in the year 1912 in the quiet ruins of Tel El Amarna. A German archaeological team led by Ludwig Borchardt was gently brushing away the sands of time. They worked in a sculpture workshop, a place once alive with chisels and clay. And then the dust gave away. A long forgotten crater was pried open, and inside was a face, so luminous, so perfect. Eyes lined with black pigment, lips curved in timeless serenity. It was as if she had only just closed her eyes. The bust was crafted around 1345 by the royal sculptor Thutmose. It's believed to have served as a model for official portraits, a kind of template of divine elegance. She wears her signature blue crown, flat-topped, sweeping back in elegant lines. Around her neck, the ornate collar of queen. Her features are delicate, balanced, and calm. But there is more, something you feel as you gaze upon her, something you can't quite explain. Some say it's perfection, others call it mystery. But perhaps it's a breath of her spirit, captured in pigment and plaster. And yet, her left eye is missing. Not damaged, not gouged, but simply never completed. The iris is absent, a blank space where her gaze should meet yours. Why? Was it left unfinished on purpose? A symbol? A mystery? A secret? Some believe the artist stopped mid-work. Others suggest it was never meant for public eyes. A private piece, a practice, a study in devotion. But that missing eye, it draws you in. It makes you wonder, and it keeps her just slightly beyond our reach. After its discovery, the bust was quietly shipped to Germany. Borchardt, knowing its value, ensured it left Egypt through means that would soon become controversial. For decades, Egypt called for her return. For decades, Germany refused. To this day, She rests in the Neues Museum in Berlin, on a pedestal in a glass case, lit like a jewel. Her presence, breathtaking, her expression, eternal, and her journey, still unfinished. But now we ask, is this how Nefertiti truly looked? Some scholars believe the bust is too perfect, too symmetrical, too divine. CT scans of the sculpture revealed something surprising. Beneath the surface is a second face, one with wrinkles, a bump on the nose, slight asymmetry. Had the artist molded reality and then smoothed it into goddess like beauty? If so, was it flattery or was it fate? Perhaps Nefertiti was both, a woman of flesh and thought, and a vision of the divine. Her bust, the bridge between what she was and what she meant. Since its unveiling, the bust has enchanted millions. Artists, poets, historians, and dreamers. They see in her a queen, yes, but also a mystery, a symbol of strength, grace, and elegance that transcends time. She has inspired fashion, philosophy, politics. Her face adorns books, films, and monuments. And yet, we know so little about her. She watches us with one eye, as if she choosing what to reveal and what to keep hidden. In that silence lies her magic, and her memory is unbreakable. As we close our eyes tonight, let us remember her face, not just for its beauty, but for the questions it dares us to ask. Who was she, truly? And why does her image speak to our hearts across thousands of years? Next, we will explore the name behind the legend, the meaning of Nefertiti, and how names carry echoes of identity, of change, of arrival. For now, dear dreamer, the past watches over you with soft and eternal eyes. Dear listener, we've traveled far through time, across golden sands, beneath the watchful gaze of stars. Now, we'll listen not to the statues or temples, but to a whisper, carried on the wind of memory, a whisper of a name that once echoed through the palaces of Egypt, a name spoken with reverence, devotion, and awe. Let us journey now into the mystery of Nefertiti's name. Nefertiti, the very sound of it glides like silk. To us, it means beauty, mystery, and power. But what does it truly mean? Her full name was Neferneferuaten Nefertiti. Translated, it means the beautiful one has come from the Aten. A declaration, a proclamation that she was not only radiant, but divinely radiant, a vessel of sacred arrival. Was she born into royalty, or did her name crown her rise? This too is a whisper lost to time. Let us look deeper at the word Nefer. It's one of the oldest words in the Egyptian language. It meant more than beauty. It meant harmony, godness, wholeness, even more excellence, a beautiful heart, a good soul, a balanced life. All of this was Nefer. So Nefertiti wasn't just pretty, her name evoked something deeper, a sacred completeness. But here is the whisper grows louder. Some scholars believe Nefertiti may not have been her birth name at all. She may have been born as Taduchipa, a princess from the kingdom of Mitanni, sent to Egypt as a political alliance. Could she have changed her name when she rose to queen? Could Nefertiti have been a title, a transformation? If true, her name marks not a beginning, but a becoming. Later in life, during the height of a Amarna revolution, she added new names. Neferneferuaten, meaning beauty of the beauties of the Aten. It was more than a flourish, it was a sign of devotion to the sun god Aten and of stepping into the divine spotlight. And then, one day, she vanished from the records, and another name appeared, a pharaoh with a strangely similar name, Neferneferuaten unravel. Could it have been her? Did she rule in disguise? Names overlapping, identities hidden, like veils in a desert breeze. In ancient Egypt, names held power. To name someone was to remember them. To speak their name was to keep them alive. We speak Nefertiti's name even now, thousands of years after her last breath. Her name may have changed, grown, or transformed, but its echo remains. It carries with its essence the queen, who was more than a beauty, more than myth. She was a rival, a light. She was a memory. As your eyelids grow heavy, let Nefertiti's name gently rest in your thoughts. Think of its syllables, soft and ancient as wind over stone. Next, we will speak of love, of a king and a queen, and a bond that shook the heavens. But for now, dear one, sleep and listen. You are safe within time's embrace. Welcome back, gentle traveler. Today, the desert winds whisper not of war, not of power, but of something far more rare. Tonight, we listen to a love story, not a myth, not a legend, but a bond that carved its name in stone and in sky. This is the story of Nefertiti and Akhenaten. They met not in the shadow of greatness, but in its rising light. Akhenaten, a prince, thoughtful and strange, Nefertiti, radiant and mysterious. Their marriage was not just one of diplomacy, it was destiny. Two spirits drawn together, as if written by the gods themselves. They would soon become more than rulers, they would become revolutionaries. But before the upheaval, there was intimacy and laughter, a bond both private and cosmic. In their new city of Akhenaten, a place they built from the dust, Nefertiti and Akhenaten created something rare, a royal partnership captured in art and daily life. They are seen dining together, playing with their daughters, even embracing beneath the sun disk of Aten. Such images were unheard. Before them, Pharaoh stood alone, distant and divine. But here, love lived a limestone walls. Nefertiti wasn't hidden. She stood beside him, equal, present, and powerful. Together, they changed the gods, not as an act of arrogance, but perhaps of devotion. Akhenaten worshipped one god, Aten, the sun. And in this new faith, Nefertiti was no more consort. She was priestess, partner, a channel of divine grace. Some images even show her striking enemies, leading ceremonies, and being honored as living light. What kind of love burns so brightly that it reshapes heaven and earth? We have no letters between them, no diary, no whispered poem, but we do have silence, and in it, clues. Their daughters bore names echoing their beliefs. They appeared together in every grand mural, and when one changed, the other followed. Even as politics darkened, as their kingdom crumbled from within, their images remained side by side. Perhaps they knew their light would not last, but even the shortest sunrise warms the earth. And then she was gone, vanished from the record. No death date, no tomb, no firewall. Did she die? Did she rule in disguise? Was she betrayed or protected? Akhenaten would die shortly after, and with him, the world they built collapsed. But some believe her legacy lived longer, not in stone, not in gold, but in the idea that love could shape history. As you drift tonight, let the warmth of their love story rest with you. Let it remind you that even the mightiest empires are born from hearts, beaten together beneath the same sky. Two souls dancing in the light of Aten, two names whispered still on the wind. Sleep now, dreamer. The stars remember you, and they watch over you. Gentle listener, now we step not into a palace, not into a garden, but into shadows, shadows of stone and silence. Because now we seek what is hidden, what has evaded eyes from centuries, what may lie just beyond reach. This is the story of a tomb, not just any tomb, the one that may still cradle a queen. This is the search for Nefertiti. In the final years of her life, something strange occurred. Nefertiti, once the shining face of Egypt's new world, began to fade. Her name vanished from records. Her images were replaced. Her titles erased. Why would such a powerful queen disappear? Where did she go? And why has no tomb been found? In a land where death was a doorway, where burial was an art, Nefertiti has no known grave. Tutankhamun's tomb was discovered. Akhenaten's bones were found. Even lesser royals had resting places. But Nefertiti remains hidden. Could it be that her tomb lies just behind a wall? Or was it never built? The silence is loud. Let us walk now to the Valley of the Kings. Dry wind, golden cliffs, and whispers of the past. It's here that the greatest were buried, deep in the earth, carved into eternity. And it's here, in Tomb KV62, that a new hope emerged. Tutankhamun, the boy king. Yet even as his mask shone, another mystery began to stir. Behind one of his chamber walls, some believe is her. In 2015, a new theory was born. Nicholas Reeves, an Egyptologist, noticed strange lines behind the painted walls of Tutankhamun tombs. Too straight, too purposeful. Could they be doorways sealed long ago? Radar scans suggested hollows behind a stone, and suddenly the world held its breath. Was Nefertiti just beyond? A queen waiting. Scans were run, tests repeated, and the answers unclear, conflicting, and fading. Some believed there was a chamber, others said the rock was solid. Years passed, the mystery deepened. No door was opened, no tomb revealed, but still, no one can say for certain what lies behind that wall. There are whispers of tombs never explored, of corridors collapsed, of clues buried in sand. Could her tomb lie in a valley yet untouched, or beneath the ruins of Amarna, her sacred city? In broken shards of pottery and chipped fragments of her face, her story lingers. Some say they have found inscriptions hinting at her burial. Others chase dreams through satellite images. But always, the answers dance just out of reach. Not all vanishings are accidents. Some are deliberate. After her death, Egypt turned from the sun cult, from Akhenaten, from Aten, from her. Their names were chiseled out, their gods silenced, their temples buried in shame. Perhaps her tomb was hidden in purpose, a secret to protect or to erase. A queen erased, yet never forgotten. If she lies somewhere still, it's not in fear, but in patience, in silence deeper than any sarcophagus, in darkness cooler than any gold. Her tomb, if found, may change everything about Egypt, about her, about us. Imagine it, her face untouched by time, her name intact, a room sealed for over 3,000 years. Could she still be waiting? As you drift, let your mind walk those ancient halls. Step gently past the columns. Brush your fingers across faded paint. Listen for a heartbeat beneath the stone, for the sigh of a queen asleep in time. Tonight she sleeps, and perhaps dreams of us, dreams of being remembered. Rest now, traveler. The sand holds her secret, and the stars still search. Let your breath slow and your thoughts drift gently. Tonight, we turn to a quieter corner of history, not carved in triumph, not wrapped in gold, but drawn in whispers and lullabies. Tonight, we remember the daughters of Nefertiti, 6 little lights who danced in the dawn of a new world. Their names almost forgotten, their fates wrapped in shadows, but their story still lingers just beneath the sand. Together, Nefertiti and Akhenaten had 6 daughters. They were called Meritaten, Meketaten, Angesenpaten, Neferneferuaten Tashrit, Neferneferur, and Setpena. Each bore a name tied of their family's god, the sun disk, Aten. Each was born into a dream of peace, of art and light. Their childhood unfolded in the strange city of Akhenaten, a place blooming with color and devotion. They were painted in scenes beside their mother, playing, laughing, wrapped in flowing crowns and lotus petals. But like the sun itself, their brightness wasn't forever. The royal family lived not behind cold stone, but in open spaces filled with gardens, pools, and music. Artists showed Nefertiti holding her children close. Akhenaten kissed their tiny hands, tickled their toes, laughed with them under the golden rays. Such affection was never shown before in royal Egypt. But this family, this strange, radiant family, loved openly. Yet, with every new mural came subtle changes. One daughter vanishes, then another. Smiles grow dimmer, figures become fewer. What happened to them? Where did they go? The second daughter, Meketaten, may have died young. Her image appears in sorrowful mural, with mourners, veils, and broken hearts. Perhaps it was childbirth, perhaps a plague, perhaps the gods simply called her home. One by one, the daughters disappear from records. No tombs, no coffins, just faded names on crumbling walls. Did they all die young? Or were some sent away, married off, or maybe hidden? One daughter lived on, Angesenpaten. She would later marry a boy king named Tutankhaten, who would become Tutankhamun. Together, they would try to mend the broken kingdom, changing their names to distance from the past. Angesenpaten became Angesennamun and tried to hold the old and new together. But even her story is filled with shadows. A widow, a play of foreign kings, a vanishing from history. Still, her name lived, and with it, a fragment of her mother's dream. The tombs of Nefertiti's daughters have never been found. No voices, no lullabies, no toys buried with them, only silence. Yet, In every fragment of painted stone, every lotus petal carved beside a tiny hand, we hear them still. Children of change, of golden dreams, of a love that tried to make the world soft and bright. Let your eyes close now and imagine a garden in the desert, a mother's arms, a father's laughter, 6 daughters dancing in the sun, gone from the world, but never truly lost. Sleep now with the warmth of their memory and the hush of ancient lullabies. Dear dreamer, next we return to golden sands, to an age when lines, color, and form could speak, not just of beauty, but of revolution. This is the story of how Nefertiti, the Queen of Light, changed the very way Egypt saw itself. Not through war, not through words, but through the brush stroke and the chisel. Through art. Before Nefertiti and Akhenaten, the gods were many. They stood all, tall, stern, and eternal. They gazed out with unblinking eyes, wrapped in mystery. But with the rise of Aten, the sun disk, something shifted. No more hulking statues of Anubis or Osiris. Instead, the light itself became holy. And under that light, Nefertiti became something new. A queen, not just beside the divine, but radiant within it. Images show her bathed in sunbeams, with arms outstretched, face upturned, not distant, but human, loving, alive. She was portrayed as a goddess in motion, not marble stillness, and that changed everything. In earlier dynasties, kings and queens were frozen in perfection, idealist, eternal, never aging, never flawed. But Nefertiti's era dared to show the truth. She is sculpted smiling, thinking, even grieving. She holds her children, kisses them, plays with them. In these images, we see more than a queen. We see a mother, a partner, and a person. Her husband, Akhenaten, was shown with wrinkles, with a soft belly, and so was she, sometimes without her crown, sometimes simply at rest. It was radical, it was real, and it echoed through time. You might have seen her. She stares out from countless books, museums, screens, with high cheekbones and delicate lips, one eye missing, yet somehow all seeing. The famous bust of Nefertiti, found in the sands of Amarna, crafted from limestone and stucco, perfectly balanced, timeless. It rests now in Berlin, silent and glowing, and yet some say it should not be there. Some whisper of secrets, of copies, of what was taken. But the bust is more than artifact. It's a message that beauty, truth, and power can live on in a single gaze. Her long neck, the tall blue crown, the almond-shaped eyes that seem to know more than they show, these features shaped an era. Fashion followed her, so did sculpture, jewelry, makeup, and headdresses across Egypt bore her mark. She wasn't just a subject of art, she was its muse, its architect, perhaps even its teacher. Her image, multiplied across the walls of temples, helped teach the next generations what it meant to rule, to worship, and to be seen. Even today, echoes of her silhouette remain in modern fashion, in cinema, and in dreams. As the sun set on Amarna and the old gods crept back in, the art changed once more, but not completely. The soft lines, the warm poses, they lingered. Some say the ancient world forgot Nefertiti, but art remembered. It remembered her tilt of the head, her gaze to the sky, the way she stood beside her king, as the sun poured down like a blessing. Even where her name was scratched away, her face remained, and that is its own kind of immortality. So tonight, as you close your eyes, imagine the colors of ancient murals, the brush dipped in ochre and gold. Imagine the chisel, tracing her smile. Imagine a world where beauty changed belief, and let her image rest in your dreams, eternal, gentle, watching. Sleep beneath her gaze, sleep in her art, sleep in her light. Gentle soul, tonight we walk not through sand, but among the stars. For our final story is not of thrones or tombs, but of the sky itself, where memory becomes myth and queens become divine. This is the afterlife of Nefertiti, the queen who became a goddess. When her name faded from scrolls, when the temples fell, when Amarna was swallowed by time, Nefertiti didn't vanish. No, she transformed. In the hush of forgotten halls, her presence remained, a flicker in the dark, a breath behind the curtain of history. And in that silence, she rose higher than she had ever stood. Ancient Egypt revered the feminine divine, Isis, Hathor, Mat, mothers, protectors, truth itself. But Nefertiti was different. She wasn't born of legend. She became one. Some believe she ruled after Akhenaten. Others say she became invisible to protect her children. But whispers in temples spoke of her radiance, not gone, just ascended. She had carried the sun on her shoulders. Now she was the sun. In hidden chapels, in faded wall carvings, symbols of a crowned woman reappear, holding the Ankh, raising the Waz scepter, guiding souls to light. Her figure stands beside Ra, her hands lift with Isis, her eye becomes the eyes of Horus. And yet, she wears no god's name. She simply is. To some, she was too powerful to erase. To others, too scared to claim. But her image, again and again, shines beside the eternal ones. A mortal who became memory, and then something more. Over centuries, travelers spoke of visions, a graceful woman walking across dunes, a face in the moonlight, watching from the edge of sleep. Was it a dream? Was it memory? Or was it Nefertiti? Visiting the world she once ruled? They said her presence brought calm, a sense of balance, of harmony restored. Her essence lingered in ice and smoke, in temples' echoes, in the hush before dawn, and perhaps in you. History tried to silence her, to bury her city, to steal her name, but still she rises. In every child who wonders at her statue, in every artist who sketches her profile, in every voice that whispers her name into the stars, Nefertiti, the beautiful one, has come. And now, dear listener, our journey through golden halls and sacred shadows draws to a peaceful close. We've walked beside a queen, we've stood in the lights of Aten, in the hush of tombs, in the glow of thousand painted walls. From her rise as consort, to the artistry she shaped, to the mystery that lingers still, Nefertiti has whispered to us through stone, through silence, and through time. She was more than a name, more than a face of beauty. She was will, a vision, a light itself. And now, her story rests with you. In every quiet moment, in every curious dream, you carry her legacy. The queen who became memory, the memory that became myth, the myth that became light. So breathe deep, let the night wrap you like fine linen. Let the stars above you be your canopy. And as you drift into sleep, know this. In the quiet corners of history, in the golden echoes of forgotten kings, a queen still watches. Her light never faded. Her story never truly ended. It only waited for you. Good night, wanderer of time. Rest now, beneath the eye of the sun.